You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
It's extraordinary. We could do 25 segments today on this, but we only like to just keep them brief. We'll keep them brief. What an extraordinary week. The beauty of doing a show like this, or doing this podcast, is that you actually get a chance to correct a few things or say what you want to say. And there is an old saying. Incidentally, I'm sitting opposite Sue Stanley, OAM. Wait till we get on to Sue Stanley, OAM, and me. And there's an old saying, thou protesteth too much. That is, if you keep protesting about things, it's fairly obvious that it's a fact that what you're protesting is true. But there are exceptions to it. God love Phoebe, Fiona Byrne, who rang me up. I'm doing this. This is self-indulgent, but who gives a fuck?
And seriously, that is so true. Who gives a stuff?
That's it. So Fiona Byrne rings me up and she says, and she's coming in because Lord Fordham is on. Now we're calling him Lord Fordham. He is Dr. Ben Fordham, MD, but I don't think he's managing Don too well at the minute. So until he's sworn his Hippocratic oath, which is what doctors have to swear that they'll protect all their patients faithfully and diligently. So until he can verify his credentials about being the Hippocratic oath and looking after Don, Dr. Ben, we'll call him, he is Dr. Ben Fordham, but he's also Lord Fordham because he is extraordinarily popular and a star, and he's coming on. And that's why Fiona Byrne, luckily, is coming on, because we're going to tear her a new one. So Fiona Byrne rings me up. Phoebe, good friend of ours, temporarily, and she says, the paper, this is the Herald Sun, are desperate to write a story about what they consider as a new romantic interest that I have. I'm only speaking opposite the person who this is about, who is more pissed off than me. And I said, are they, Phoebe? Yes, she said, they are, but I want to just hose this down. I said, do you, Dale? I said, well, go on, ask us a question. Are you going out with Sue Stanley? Well, what is the answer to that? Do you mean romantically? Well, yes, I said. Whew. Well, the short answer to all that would be, Phoebe, how unimportant and ridiculous is this? This is a non-story, and that's it. I could have said that, but I like to not be short with the people I call friends, and she's a friend of mine. And I said, Sue Stanley is a friend of mine, a girl friend of mine. Don't make that just one word, just make that two words, will you? Here's me. And she said, oh, yes, she said, good. Well, and she said, that's what I thought. I said, good on you. Well, I'm glad that's what you thought. And I said, yeah, I go out with her to functions. If she needs someone to go with, she lives down the road from me. I went on with all this bullshit. Well, it's not bullshit, but I thought... Well,
and who seriously gives us stuff?
I know. There's Israel have attacked Palestine over in the Middle East. There's Angola are going beautifully. The state is fucked here. We're in debt $200 billion. And I thought, well, so I go on with all this. So anyhow... She did report faithfully what I said, but of course no one reports faithfully what you say, or no one reads faithfully what you say, because the headline was Sam Newman's new love interest. I think he reveals a peek into this new relationship. And I thought, holy shit. Miss Stanley, OAM, is on the phone to her mother and father saying, this, don't please believe any of this. This is not quite as it seems. But of course, the headline is what people are after. This is the paper, they're after the headline, and after that, that's called clickbait. And after that, no one gives a stuff what the body of the story is. That's just how people have rung me up and said, well done, congratulations, and Sue's getting, and people are saying, oh, you're a dickhead, and why would she go out with you, all that sort of stuff. And I think, God, isn't it extraordinary? So we'll get to Phoebe in here. She's coming in because I say Lord Fordham's coming in. And so then I look on the... there's a picture of me that I think, Melissa, this is Ricky Nixon's squeeze. That she took on the boat of me sitting next to Sue Stanley OAM, and she was part of the picture, but they airbrushed her out of the picture and just had Sue Stanley OAM and me sitting up driving the boat. Sitting up in the flybridge of the boat. She did a selfie. Melissa is a very charming lass, and but they cut her out because it wasn't.
Wasn't about her.
Well, didn't suit their story.
Seriously,
So that's fair enough. So anyhow,
stuff.
so then I wake up this morning. Which is a bonus in itself, really, the way I'm travelling. And there's a thing in the Daily Mail, who have never said one complimentary thing about me, which is actually I enjoy because gives us a chance to be able to belt them back. The Daily Mail have a picture or a video as the dog licks my knees. Sue Stanley OAM's brought her dog in, which is this shows you how much I think of Sue Stanley OAM. If I can let a dog come into the studio, if he starts licking me agates, that'll be it, Sue. You'll notice I'll go into a dream or a blear, and you'll have to take over. Anyhow, the Daily Mail put on. They have a video that I think they've purloined, which means stolen, or uploaded from a video that Shane Crawford did when I was on the boat with Sue Stanley OAM, because Sue Stanley OAM comes on the boat and gives me a hand with it. This is probably why people think that we are an item, because I need some assistance. And as she lives down the street from me and I just live up here, I say, would you like to come out? And yes, she likes boating. So there we are. There's a video on the website of the Daily Mail of me regaling and entertaining the cast of Joseph and his Technicolor amazing, beautiful, wonderful Dreamcoat, or whatever the thing was called that Shane Crawford was in, and I hosted the people on the boat. They were fantastic people, all of them. All the genders that came on were fantastic people. And there's pictures of me, it's a video, pictures of me pouring whiskey, what's it called?
Fireball.
Fireball, me looking as though I'm pissed and, I'm drug fucked, and I'm, mind you, I don't drink, and I drive the boat, so I was just pouring it out, and I'm laughing, and Shane's dating me, and blokes are bloody ripping my gear off, and it looks as though we're all sort of just completely fly blown on the boat. So that's on the boat, and this was apparently, I think, probably in celebration of, I think they were just getting at the fact that we were celebrating this new relationship that Sue Stanley OAM and I have. Well, I'm not sure how much I can go on with this. We're giving it enough oxygen, but it's been in the... How could that be a story? Could I say for the record? If anyone listens to this, we have quite a lot of people listen to this show. And really? I'm not sure if they might have dropped off since Don is not on, but you spoke to Don apparently, and he was... I don't want to put words in your mouth, Sue. I haven't put anything in your mouth. No,
I can't even get a word in.
Yeah, that's what I meant. When I said I haven't put anything in your mouth, what I meant was I did mean, I'm sorry about that. That was a Freudian slip. I said I haven't put any words in your mouth because you haven't spoken. So I don't know if you want to say Don rang. Was Don interested in whether we were an item?
Well, I actually did get a call from Don yesterday. And he wanted
Ring
to come
in.
He was, but I reckon he was going to stir you up. I don't know what for, and then I said...
Stir me up?
Yeah.
He's been out with you just as many times as I have. I can tell you, not out with you, I can tell you, you've been in Don Scott's company nearly as much as I have, except every time we go out in the boat, I ask you to come on to give me a hand. You've been out with him dozens of times down at where you live.
Mornington, yeah, we go for lunch.
You've been to functions with him.
Coffees,
You've been to
boxing.
Stratford's. You've been to singing. You went to Russell Morris with him. You went to
the boxing.
The boxing.
Yeah.
No, Don's been out with you as many times as I have. Why haven't they got cottoned on to him?
They just love teasing you. They just.
So
Phoebe, she's in trouble.
No, when she comes
when she
in,
comes
we'll
in,
ask
trust
her.
me.
We won't talk behind her back. We are at the minute, but when she comes in, we'll hit her between the eyes, figuratively speaking. Now, you said Don rang you, did he? And you don't have to divulge any private conversations, but I was intrigued when you said you got a call from Don. I haven't had a call from Don since he thinks I told him to fuck off, which I didn't. He was on the way out when I told him to fuck off, and then he said he'd get back to me about his options, and I'm still waiting for him to get back to me. But the Dr. Lord Fordham, Ben MD, is still managing him and says he's on furlough on special assignment. So when the doc comes on at Upper State, it doesn't matter what time he comes on because that's irrelevant, because when this is downloaded, who cares what time he comes on? But he'll be coming on in directly. And
but he did want to get
kick the dog. It's under here. Go on.
He did want to ring up and be here and probably stir you. And I said,
Don did.
Yeah, if it's going to be derogative about me, or are you going to make butt jokes of me?
How would he be derogative about you?
Well,
I think he was keen on you.
Well, no. We were just friends. Absolutely, just absolutely
speak
friends.
on. There's a person at the door.
Oh, really?
No, it's just speak on. Go on.
But he did say that he wanted to put it all with collateral damage. Wanted to get on the radio, on the podcast. But I said, well, if I'm going to be collateral damage, then what goes on? And then I said. He hung up, and then he rang me back about later, and our lady goes, I have too much respect for you.
So what was he going to bag you about?
Well, obviously going to bag you.
Potentially going out with me.
Yeah. So thank you, Don, for being a man and standing up and not being derogative about a personal friend. So thank you, unlike Phoebe, who just slammed it.
It's silly saying Don ring in because this gets downloaded in the afternoon, so you won't hear this, but... On the off chance, keep your phone on. Did he say he might ring in?
He did say he was going to ring in.
Well, I tell you what, the first question we'd ask Don before he asked anything about you or me is, nice to hear from you, old son. When do you think you'll drop by or tell us what your decision is about staying on the podcast or not? Because we have a lot of people say, where is Don? We have a lot of people say, where is Don?
But in fairness, I think Don is... It's not his thing.
No, it's not.
I think he was happy to be
obvious,
working.
I think he liked the fact that he was relevant again. Not that he needs that, and he enjoyed people saying, "Oh, I heard you, and you well done, and you told Sam."
He never listens to it, though.
No,
he never listened to it at all.
No, he doesn't. I bet he gets told. So anyhow, that's it. We've complained enough. Not complained.
Addressed the elephant in the room.
The point is, if I was going out with you, what in God's name? Why wouldn't I say yes? Sue Stanley, OAM, and I are swinging hands. We are going out to... Why wouldn't I say that? Was I got some guilt or some shame about saying that? I would be delighted to say that. And Sue, I could formally ask you here, if you'd like to go out with me, just give us a call sometime.
Well,
seeing as we live in different abodes, and I'll make it official.
Well,
and they won't have to keep putting cryptic clues in the Daily Mail and shots of us, or not. I don't think you were in that clip that was on the Daily Mail. I think it was just people, I think they were trying to convey that we're having a drink to celebrate this great relationship.
Well, firstly, I think I'm too old for you. That would be one thing. And really, seriously, you think you can get me? Seriously?
Yeah, no, I've never tried and wouldn't be presumptuous enough to even do it. I'm actually underneath this sort of brash veneer. I'm quite a shy person, Sue, and you would have to make the first move. You would have to make the first move, and I'd probably... So anyhow, that's that. Now, there's a whole lot of shout-outs from But we've had a chap walk in, and I said to him, yes, well done, you've turned his microphone on. I said, just a minute. I said, come on in to this man because, yes, thank you. He's given me, I know vaguely who he is. I said, come on in because our guest, who I was going to interview, we are going to interview, Wendy Stapleton, called in and said she had COVID. And then she got back to me and I said, well, in that case, this man who's just walked in, I said, well, come in and you can be part of this. In lieu of Wendy Stapleton. But Wendy Stapleton called in and said, her COVID's over, so she is coming in. But this gentleman has walked in, and I'm going to just do this off the top of my head.
He's a muff man.
He
Yes.
he is a muff man. Now, tell me who you are.
My name is Richard Wollstonecroft. I'm an independent filmmaker and events promoter, and I run the Melbourne Underground Film Festival. And before that, I used to run a thing called the Hellfire Club. I don't know if you remember that from the 1990s.
I do. Now, so just let me write your name down.
Sure.
What's your name?
Wollstonecroft, Richard.
Richard.
Yes.
Richard. Now, Richard Wilson. I knew someone called Wollstonecroft. Not Guy. No, that was Guy Wilson. No. Now, Richard.
Yes.
You are here because of we did an interview with
Frank Housen.
Frank Housen a while ago. Very interesting and very popular interview.
It was.
And he said, why don't you speak to Richard Wollstonecroft?
Correct.
And I said, well, we'll speak to anyone. Now, no, we do. We're interested. MUFF, I know that's just a provocative acronym.
Yes.
An acronym being a word that you can pronounce.
Thank you
A
for
lot
that.
of people say acronyms are just any first letters of any sentence that's in a title, but that's not right. If you can't pronounce it, it's not an acronym. I can't give you an example. I don't know what an example is. But MUFF means Melbourne Underground Film Festival. And Richard, I'm interested to know what you are on about and what is it?
Well, we started the Melbourne Underground Film Festival 23 years ago because we thought that, the local film industry was all kind of woke and they would only kind of fund films that were kind of politically correct or that had Aboriginals or lesbian characters or whatever. So, we sort of thought, well, there's a whole bunch of really interesting filmmakers that wanted to make kind of almost more commercial kind of genre movies. So we started the film festival that supported, horror films, science fiction films, thrillers, films about gangsters, interesting documentaries, things like that. So
we should hasten to say, Richard, I'm hastening to say there's nothing wrong with making films about Aboriginals and lesbians.
Of course.
If that is your want.
if that is your want. But that's what you get if you want to get if people want the funding, you know what I mean? And we thought we'd rebel because we're anti-woke, anti-cancel culture, and we just which is unusual for the entertainment business, as I'm sure you're aware.
You're just thumbing your nose at the
establishment.
Yes, and now Richard. So I think Frank indicated that your recent foray into this had been cancelled.
Yes.
Or who has cancelled you and why?
Oh, well, I was cancelled. I've been cancelled numerous times. I've cancelled a couple of times over the Hellfire Club, because we used to have controversial nights there. And, we'd done various things at the Melbourne Underground Film Festival. I made a comment about the gay community, during the yes and no vote. I supported the no vote. And just, not that I was particularly on that side, it's just that everybody within the film industry was supporting the yes. And obviously I supported
what's that got to do with gay people, though, Richard?
Well, my attitude was I didn't have any problem with gay marriage. I just thought that, if the yes vote won, there'd be things like they would be teaching it in school like propaganda, which of course has not happened, Sam, as we well know.
Oh no! It is angled that way. The way the education.
Yeah, I was
system
worried
is
it would
going.
become propagandistic.
But don't, Richard. Please don't convey that we are
of course
against
not.
any of those.
of course
against
not.
any of that.
I've never been. We support gay filmmakers at the Melbourne Underground Film Festival.
Well, that's mighty neighbourly of you. Now, what did? So you got So you after funding from what? Who cancel? How did you get cancelled if you don't?
Well,
get
you know, when you
funding?
get cancelled, just a whole bunch of people in the industry began to like share articles saying, you should cancel this festival and stuff. And so every year since, we've had to secure different venues, and one of our venues this year has been cancelled. The one in 47 Edward Street. So the whole festival is taking place now in Thomastown because one of our main venues has been cancelled. So every year our festival's been under attack, and obviously I've noticed yourself over the years, you yourself have been under attack from the cancel culture crowd. And obviously I saluted your recent comment about the welcome to country, because every film industry thing that you go to, it's welcome to country over and over again. And there's often at these events, there's no Aboriginal people there.
No, we're very
it's
happy,
crazy.
happy to say on the record that we think, I think welcome to country is an anachronism. It is just ridiculous. It is the most divisive thing you can get if you're talking about a yes-no vote about welcoming people to this country and being all one unit and one community, to actually be segregated into having to be welcomed by whoever, who are well-meaning people, but it is a nonsense, and the overwhelming majority of people just get embarrassed by it.
I couldn't agree more, Sam.
So I'm happy to say all that. So why you were cancelled from a venue that can't remember where you said it was.
Sure, in Brunswick this year.
Yeah, so and they took exception to the fact that they perceived you as anti-gay, did they, or anti-something?
I've made one comment online, where I supported the no vote, and that had gone viral, that comment, and obviously they Googled it. I'd warned them coming in that I'm controversial, that we play all different kinds of documentaries. We play pro-Trump stuff. We play stuff that's anti-vax. That we are interested. I mean, I've always been a contrarian, and I have to say, it's a real honour to be speaking to you today, Sam, because you're one of the people that actually made me a contrarian. Because when I was a kid, I used to watch you on television, and I really enjoyed, particularly yourself, but also Red Simons, that you were very confrontational, and I was just fascinated by your technique of speaking to people and the way you're often, you would speak your mind no matter the consequences. And I think in this day and age, that's incredibly important.
So how's that going for you?
Yeah, well, maybe not so good.
So anti-vax, we've had a few doctors on here saying why they're anti-vax, and this has never been tested. And
I'm anti-vax,
I'm
definitely.
unashamedly a great Trump supporter, and
Me too.
The very fact that he is gaining absolute popularity over in the States is the fact that they now liken him to being a dictator, a Nazi. They cannot think of any other names to call him. So at your film festival, you don't play Nazi, you don't play
of course not,
objectionable and obnoxious.
No.
What do you play? What is it? A film festival, and you put on
Films.
Sure.
Films. I know they're put on films. Susan Stanley, OAM. Did you know Susan Stanley and I are trying to beat back the fact that people have said we're an item?
I've heard about this.
No,
Can we stoke the rumours or not?
What?
Just be
I'm just
careful.
kidding.
Yeah, you can stay. That's right.
No, there appears to be nothing going on here in the studio. I can testify to that. It's all above board. But she's a very beautiful lady, and
When I start leaning over and impassion him, then you'll know that.
Then we'll know. I'll report
something is going on. But seriously,
Yeah. Thank you, Susan Stanley, OAM. So what do you play? So who provides the content for the film festival?
Well, for example,
MUFF.
Brian Trenchard Smith is providing us with High Strangeness on opening night, which is a film
What's it called?
High Strangeness, which is a film about UFOs.
I see that, yes.
Horror art film.
Yes.
It's a really great film. It's sort of, obviously the UFOs have become something that's kind of been, it used to be considered a conspiracy theory, but now within the Senate in America, people are talking about them being real.
I've watched that. There's genuinely intelligent people who say there's something going on.
There is something going on.
Closing night?
Closing night, we're playing Police State, which is a kind of pro-Trump film.
No, I mean, that's Freedom Double Bill, is it?
Yeah, that's correct. Freedom Movement Double Bill. And The Great Awakening, the Great Awakening is kind of the opposite of the Great Reset. I'm sure you're aware of the kind of billionaire elite class that, push the climate change lie and all that nonsense out of Davos and the World Economic Forum. That's called the Great Reset. But there's a movement against that, and I would probably say that you and I are kind of almost part of it in a way. It's called the Great Awakening, which is where we awaken to the manipulation and control of the global elites, and we reject it. And I think anybody, all different kinds of people across the political spectrum, from Russell Brand to Julian Assange to Alex Jones to Donald Trump to Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, all these kind of people are kind of rebels, and Sam Newman. is a rebel, I think. I know who I admire.
All those people you mentioned, except I'm not familiar with the man who got... just meant there's one person that you meant.
Alex Jones?
Yes, I'm not familiar with.
Alex Jones doesn't.
I know he got roundly condemned for something.
Yeah, he's someone who's into conspiracy theories. He's almost
right.
probably the world's greatest conspiracy theorist.
That's right. So I'm not really familiar with what he said. The other people, I'm very happy to say, I'm a sympathiser of theirs. Incidentally, it's amazing you mentioned the climate change and what I consider the hoax that's going on.
It is a hoax.
100%. I was watching this at the current forum that's going on in Dubai.
Yep.
It's called the, let me just find it out here. It's got a name. It's called the, Jesus, where am I? It's called the, let me just see if I can find this. It's just called the, stand by. This is what happens a lot here. Can't read my own writing. It's called the something 23. What is it there?
Well, like Alan Jones says,
keep going. Yeah, go.
Carbon dioxide is a very small part of the atmosphere. It's something like 0.04% of the atmosphere, and that people are only responsible for something like 5 or 10% of that. So, the majority of carbon dioxide is obviously naturally occurring, and it comes from the oceans, and it also feeds the trees. So, this idea that carbon dioxide is a poison is basically a lie.
I've just found
and it's again an elite thing, and it's about energy profiteering, where they raise the price of energy and they spend billions from the public purse on useless renewable energy
I've just
programs.
found what I was. So
go ahead,
Sam. It's called the COP28.
Yeah.
That's being held in Dubai, where all the leaders of all the climate people coming over, and they're having a conference about the climate. And the climate president, Sultan Al Jaber, Jaber. He said, and he's the president of the function that's going on. He said there is no science connected with or behind the opinion of phasing out fossil fuels. There is no science that we should phase out fossil fuels. Well, that went over like a wrought iron hang glider at the convention, because they said, what a disgraceful thing to say. He said he'd done his research, and he said, we can't find any evidence that fossil fuels have any detrimental effect on the climate. There is no science that has confirmed that. Mm-hmm. So they said he was a disgrace. He deep concerns over his ability to lead the United Nations climate talks. Unfortunately, his opinion didn't agree with John Kerry. John Kerry, who is an unelected representative of climate around the world, just travels around on his private jet lecturing us about not using gas stoves. They're trying to reduce the emissions of methane, but methane by the year 2030. And have a listen to this. You got me onto this.
Yeah.
14% of the world methane is produced by the United States, which means conversely, what's 14 from 100? 86% is not produced by the United States, and the two countries who are not part of the climate accord because they're considered developing countries, we've said this before, are responsible for what they consider all the pollution.
The majority,
India and China, and they are not even part of the climate accord. It is an absolute hoax and nonsense, and we're being browbeaten into not driving cars, not drilling for oil, not sustaining.
It's a scam.
It is a scam. It is, and this is our opinion, and we welcome anyone.
It's extraordinary.
Have a difference of opinion.
Remember,
but the Mr. Jaber, Sultan Jaber, or whatever his name is, did he put a cat in amongst the pigeons? He said, no, there's no evidence at all. Well, they've roundly condemned him, and he's the president of it.
Remember, Daniel Andrews wants to get rid of your stove or whatever. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, China and India are polluting way more than others, and yet we Western countries, you see Greta Thunberg, she doesn't go lecture China, does she? Because she'd get nowhere. First of all, she'd get arrested if she went to China. You know what I mean? And, she is just an obnoxious, spoiled brat. She's clearly in the pay of these global elites, and what they want is they want to control us. They want to take away your ability to use your cars.
So, Richard.
Yes, Sam.
Richard. what'll happen, people will say, well, why have we got people like you on? Because no, they say, why do I have my opinions? We'll say, why have we got people like you on? But I haven't heard, don't worry, if you say something that I disagree with about people that live in this country or certain genders or anything, I will, don't worry, we will sanction you, not sanction you, we won't, but I will disagree with you, but I haven't heard a lot yet, Sue. I don't know. Susan, I'm sorry, I shouldn't call you Sue, that's familiar. You're Susan.
Suzanne.
Suzanne, I am so sorry. That's how little I know you. I didn't know your name was Suzanne. Suzanne, we condone anything that we shouldn't have condoned?
No, but am I seriously missing something? Because, why would you be cancelled from something? I get you have an opinion, which has had multiple opinions on everything, but you're talking about a film festival. Yep. You haven't given me really the real reason, or was there a specific film that they actually said, well, this can't happen, or specifically, or is it just personally an attack against you?
Well, look, my festival's always played stuff that's been controversial, and 20 years ago that was almost considered, that was cool. People like that. People like to be confronted by new ideas.
This is called free speech.
Exactly, free speech. But in recent years, I guess around the time of Trump, cancel culture began to take hold, and I continued to be provocative, and I guess that was around the time that I got cancelled. But you can survive it. Look at Jordan Peterson, for example. He was cancelled over his comments about trans people, but then he became probably the world's greatest intellectual. Yeah. I have a degree in political philosophy from La Trobe University. I actually am somebody who reads widely in politics and philosophy, so I can actually talk to this kind of stuff. But, at the Melbourne Underground Film Festival, we celebrate independent cinema. We've discovered some of the best filmmakers that have come out of the country. James Wan, we discovered, who went on to create the Saw franchise, which became the biggest horror franchise in history. He directed Aquaman. It's coming up, the new Aquaman sequel. He did Insidious, The Nun, all those films. We discovered Scott Ryan, who made that show, Mr. In Between, which is probably the best Australian TV show to come out of Australia the last 20 years. Patrick Hughes, you've seen that?
With Mr. In Between, yep.
Yeah,
So you're just pushing back on basically because they're trying to change you. You've been experienced this because you got the woke treatment from the Footy Show.
Yeah, exactly.
When he couldn't, but obviously he can't go back on because he can't get back onto that platform. So you obviously just got to have to pivot and just try and find out where you can go and why you can go and who's going to accept you.
And that's what I've done. I guess, I was certainly inspired by Sam's, public persona over the years. And
Stop saying you're inspired by me, Richard, please. I don't want to be go on.
Yes. No,
obviously there are many people around. Jordan Peterson is another figure who I admire. But I did pivot. I have a regular podcast called The Report from Tiger Mountain, which is like little 5 or 10 minute rants like Paul Joseph Watson. I'm on a show called Cafe Locked Out with Michael Gray Griffiths and Damien Richardson, David Thrussell, where we talk about all different kinds of ideas. That's a regular thing, and you can get that on Facebook. So I have pivoted to this kind of thing, and that's kind of the way to go.
Specific audience, obviously, because I probably wouldn't attend something like that because of the horrors. I'm not into it. Into it. But it's a very specific and unique market, isn't it?
It's alternative culture. If people are interested in hearing different ideas, and that, as I said, that used to be popular. That used to be what the counterculture was about. But I guess, in the whole time of woke, there's been this strange, censorious, almost neo-Puritanism, which is just strange.
So if you say that you're a Trump supporter, you treated as vermin, which is what he called the people who made up all those things about him and the Russian hoax and all that sort of stuff. If you're not into it, you won't know what I'm talking about. But my main thing about Trump is that you've got a man who is the President of the United States called Joe Biden, who is not even cognizant or familiar with what his position is. He's not running the country.
No, he's not.
The Obama acolytes are running the country, and he is just a figurehead, and that's why it's so pathetic that they won't come clean and say this man shouldn't be the president because he's mentally and I use the word advisedly, he is mentally disabled. He is honestly not in cognitive state to run that country, and in fact he's not running the country, and that's why it's a deception. At least put someone in, either get Gavin Newsom or someone else to stand against Trump, who looks like he's going to be the nominee, and on their merits let the public vote about and Trump, no matter how much they indict him or think up bogus charges and say, he just gets more popular because they realise they are trying to stop a genuine opponent from even contesting an election. They talk about him being a dictator. They just want to rip up the whole laws of what democracy is about so that they keep their man in who is not even their man. He doesn't know where he is. And that's not me saying that. That's why it's just such a ridiculous situation going on in the States. Now, Richard.
Yes, sir.
When is this? This is MUFF 23.
It opens on Friday, and we have the new film from Frank Housen. He's done a redux version of his film Remembering Nigel that we're playing at 8:30.
Frank is a very good man.
Frank is a legend.
Nigel about?
Nigel's kind of a film where it's people remembering a kind of filmmaker, who is a kind of mysterious figure, and it stars an extraordinary, array of Hollywood people like Martin Landau. A whole bunch of Hollywood people that Frank knew over in America, and also people like, Bert Newton here, a whole bunch of Australian celebrities. So it's a fascinating film, and Frank's done a redux version, so we're playing that on Friday night. That's after High Strangers. And we've got a filmmaker called Larry Wessel coming out from the United States who makes really counterculture kind of documentaries, so he's going to be here on Saturday night. Then we have a whole bunch of shorts, a whole bunch of other features.
Who can come to it? Anyone?
Anybody can come, mate. Just go to muff.com.au. Just remember that one of our venues has been cancelled, so if you go to muff.com.au, you'll see that all the screenings are happening out in Thomastown, which is a wonderful venue.
And what happens if they cancel you?
Well, then I'd probably stuff, mate. After appearing on this show, that might be the enemy.
Why? So Thomastown don't mind.
Well, I'm not going to go into the details, but somebody who believes in free speech does run that venue. So
but that you should be allowed to put this on at the Hamer Hall, or you should be able to put this on anywhere.
The Australian Centre for the Moving Image.
Decide if they want to watch this stuff or not. There's more obnoxious stuff. I got a feeling there's more obnoxious stuff going on in free-to-air television that you get browbeaten about having an opinion about something that you don't necessarily have an opinion about, but you don't have any pushback on it.
What are you doing Friday night?
About MUFF?
Yeah. Do you want to come along with me and we'll go together and we'll get more?
We'll get paparazzi there. We'll get Jim Lee along, the photographer.
You and I could be involved in MUFF.
Muff diving. Muff diving, we call
MUFF diving. Yeah. We could dive in. That's
dive
right.
into MUFF. That's what you're saying.
We could be. That could be the start of a whole new thing, Susan. Stanley OAM. MUFF diving. Okay. Now, Richard.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure that we've given this a fair run.
You have given it a run. Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, or what would you?
I just think that it's important if we live in a democracy that we need to be able to talk about lots and lots of different things, and that's what the Melbourne Underground Film represents.
How long has it been going?
23 years. I started it in 2000 because my own film, Pearls Before Swine, was rejected from the Melbourne International Film Festival.
Pearls Before Swine.
Yep, correct.
Can we ask what that was about?
That's it there. It's a hitman. You can have this, Sam. I brought a few copies for it.
Before Swine. Oh, I see.
It's about a hitman. It's a controversial kind of film about a hitman.
So it's not nothing. It's just a
movie, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that was rejected.
That was rejected, and so
why?
Because it was violent, it had sex and violence.
Violent.
And it's also probably a little bit right-wing, which is just not allowed. I'm somebody of the new right, of this new kind of populist right. That's the kind of politics
it's not
that I
about
support.
Vigilantes or anyone? Or,
no, it's not about vigilantes or anything like that. The first film I made was Bloodlust, which is a horror film. That's it there. Yeah. And then I did a documentary about the porn business called The Last Days of Joe Blow. Yeah. So I brought along a few films you could watch.
Joe Blow. I like that. Joe Blow. Vigilantes. The way things are going and the horrendous murders and stabbings that are going on, particularly in the States, I reckon we end up having a crew of vigilantes that will go out and take these people out who are absolutely nothing more than antisocial pieces of crud.
Look what just happened in Ireland. There was a huge riot after an immigrant attacked, basically 3 children. And there was a huge, it was like a pogrom in Ireland where a whole group of Irish people rose up against this. And obviously, and what did the government do? They were like, they were basically having a go at the people who are upset about children being murdered.
Anyhow, Richard, I probably think, I'm just looking at the time.
Sure.
We think 40 minutes is about the attention span of the people that listen to this. Mind you, we put 2 or 3 segments together. We might we might stop this because we have, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ben Fordham, MD. Have you? Managing Director?
Yes, sir.
He's a medical man. He was looking after Don Scott's mental acuity, and he's not going too well with Don, so we're calling him Lord Fordham at the minute. So Lord Fordham will be on shortly. So what we might do is just wind this up, and when Lord Fordham comes on shortly, we'll have a chat to him about what he wants to talk to us about. I hope he doesn't talk to us about you and I, Sue Stanley, OAM, because that would we might have to cut Lord Fordham off. We wouldn't, because where's Fiona Byrne? Fiona Byrne fair drips when she knows.
I reckon she'll be in the next 10 to 15 minutes, just quietly.
Do you?
Yep.
Well, I hope she can withstand the browbeating you're going to give her. Anyhow, so we'll just close this off, and we'll come back directly. Now, what am I doing here, Sue? What am I doing? Sue, can I call you Sue? Suzanne. What
Just
am
get
I
on
doing
with it.
now?
Thank you, Sam. It's a pleasure.
Go, hang on, Richard, just a minute. I do this, don't I?
Yeah.